Here's a leadership truth that might surprise you. Most of the hard conversations you'll have later this year could have been prevented in January. So there's this natural urge we all feel to make goals, to set resolutions, right? To make January feel new and fresh. And honestly, I feel that too. And that urge isn't bad. It's just kind of deceiving because nothing magical actually changed in your work or on your team when the calendar flipped from December to January. And sometimes it can feel a little strange to act like January 1st gives permission for this random moment to reinvent. So, if you want to use January in a way that actually prevents the conflict, tension, or drama that tends to show up in May or June, then don't give in to the pressure to just hit reset with better goals or some sort of shinier vision. Instead, just focus on better conversations. A slower, more intentional month devoted to listening, clarifying, resetting how you work together. And today I'm breaking down 3 leadership conversations that set the tone for the entire year and how slowing down can save you from burnout, frustration, and unnecessary conflict later. So I use this illustration to help new managers understand what to do first when they step into a leadership role. But I think it absolutely applies to all leaders in January because when you're stepping into a new role or you're stepping into a new season, it feels like this fresh slate moment where there's almost like a pause for you to decide what you're going to do next. And you make the assumption that everyone is looking to you like, what's happening next? What are we doing next? What's the new idea? What's the fresh vision? You feel like you're stepping onto a train that's stopped at a station. But the truth is, you are on a train that is moving. If you are new to a management role, then you are stepping onto a moving train. It didn't just stop to wait around for you to get on. It's been moving. It's been functioning. There's been a crew that's been doing all the things along the way. So if you are indeed on the move and you decide to abruptly stop in order to say, we're taking a pause moment and we're going to make this all feel like a fresh blank slate moment, then friend, the train will probably derail. And that's obviously not a good situation for anyone. So what should you do instead of making this abrupt stop, especially in January when you feel tempted to? Well, you should investigate what's keeping this train moving. What has kept it running? Where has it been successful? Where might this train need some repairs? So the first critical conversation of the new year has to be a listening before leading conversation. So yeah, I'm saying that January is not for vision casting first. It's for information gathering first, because most leaders lead from assumptions about what their people want, what their people need, what their people are ready for. They make assumptions about what's going well, what's not going well. And oftentimes the leader's assumptions are just not aligned with the reality for the employee. Can I get an amen? So, what does this listen before you lead conversation actually look like? Well, it looks like intentional meetings, particularly your regularly scheduled one-on-one meetings. And I just want to stop and say, if you don't have a regular rhythm of one-on-one meetings with the people that you supervise, this is a great opportunity for you to start doing that. And I don't want you to feel bad if you haven't done it in the past, or if you were doing it and you kind of got out of the rhythm, especially at the end of the year, right? Things come up, the calendar gets really full. It's all totally understandable. But this moment is a great opportunity for you to pivot back and make one-on-one meetings something that is a priority for you. I continue to be reminded how important one-on-one meetings are for employees. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but as a former employer, I remember thinking, I know that they're busy. I know that they have a lot going on. I don't want to be the one to add something else to their calendar or their schedule, especially when I'm not coming in with an agenda to these meetings. But in coaching conversations I have with people all the time, I hear so much frustration when their boss cancels their one-on-one meeting or postpones it or treats it like it's something that's negotiable on the calendar. These meetings are the rare moments with you where they get to discuss whatever they need to discuss. And that is highly valuable to them. So it needs to be highly valuable for you. Your job is to lead with real curiosity. And I've said this before. I love talking about curiosity. Curiosity is a willingness to be surprised. It's not just asking a question. You're not a curious person because you ask a question. You're a curious person because you genuinely do not know the answer. And so you ask the question to find the answer. So keep asking questions. Write down what they say. Thank them for sharing. And I promise you, if you start the year this way, listening before you lead your team, you're going to do so much for the culture and for the feeling of connection and belonging. And, maybe you're thinking, we don't have time for all of this. I'm the leader. They're looking to me. They want me to cast vision. They feel this urge for a fresh blank slate moment. Well, I want to encourage you that listening does not mean you're not leading. It means you are working to lead better informed. And I cannot tell you how many times I've been coaching leaders and I've encouraged them to slow down and ask questions to gather information, even just to ask one more question. And they've come back and they've said, I learned something critical that I would have passed by, something that has changed the trajectory of where we're going this year. And I would have never known that if I didn't ask that one question, if I had rushed into vision or rushed into decisions. So start in your one-on-one meetings with a listen before you lead conversation and gather up all that information you didn't know you were missing. So the next critical leadership conversation you could have in January to avoid conflict and drama the rest of the year is a clarifying expectations conversation. Here's the truth, friend. People do not hate expectations. They hate unclear expectations. Unclear expectations are the root of frustration, of feedback tension, of performance issues, and of resentment on both sides. In my life, it is so easy for me to get frustrated with people when they are not meeting my expectations. And most often, it's because those expectations have not been communicated or they haven't been communicated well. And unfortunately, people can't read my mind. So we have to be clear about expectations. And that doesn't make you bossy. It doesn't make you a micromanager, and honestly, makes you kind. And I really don't think that people resist accountability. I think they resist ambiguity, right? No one likes feeling like they don't know what success looks like. And I promise you, right now, there is an area in your leadership where expectations are fuzzy. So your job is to make your expectations crystal clear. And you do that with a conversation to clarify expectations. And this is something you're going to start at your regularly scheduled staff meetings. At the beginning of each staff meeting, I want you to take a minute to celebrate what you expect. So instead of standing up there like a parent, spouting off rules, spouting off expectations, you're going to just celebrate what individuals did this past week that exemplified what we do here, that pointed back to the values, to the mission, the things that made a difference. And by doing this in each staff meeting, you're telling people this is what good looks like. You're telling people this is what you expect. Now, I want to be clear that this only works if there is already a baseline of clarity on the team, right? If people are fuzzy about roles and responsibilities, or if they're unclear about who is making decisions or how you all communicate, then this is going to feel like a really soft and a really fake approach to clarity. So if you're listening and you're feeling like, no, we're clear on roles and responsibilities, we're clear on who's making decisions and how we communicate, then this is a good way to reinforce it every single week. But if you aren't sure that you're clear, then this is a good time to go back to the first kind of conversation, the listening before leading conversation. So start doing some investigation about who isn't clear on their roles or responsibilities, who isn't clear on how decisions are made or how you communicate. There has to be some work done on your part to figure out where those gaps are and shore those things up before you can do this kind of maintenance week to week. And if you're like, Kara, I've been super clear about expectations. People know what's expected, but they're just not doing it. Well, my response to that is if you've been clear about expectations, then the second half of your job is to enforce the expectations. And so you need to approach these employees with clear feedback. They need to know when you have observed expectations not being met and the impact that's had. And if you want more help on how to have that conversation, I'm going to link another episode in the show notes for you to go and listen and get the exact roadmap. So to summarize the clarifying expectations conversation, Do it in your staff meetings. Be explicit about what good looks like and celebrate it so your people will replicate it. Now, to help you with this, I have an ultimate staff meeting kickoff guide that includes scripts for this kind of conversation. It tells you really how you should run the first 10 minutes of every staff meeting and how what you do in those 10 minutes really matters for culture and connection. So download it. It's free. Go to heycaralist.com/kickoff and start it next week in your staff meeting. That's heycaralist.com/kickoff. You can grab the link below. The final conversation you can have in January, the one you will be so glad you didn't skip, is actually a conversation you need to have with yourself. So the first conversation was one-on-one with your people. The second conversation is with your whole team in a staff meeting. And the third one is about you as a leader. And it's a pretty straightforward question. And here it is. What do I actually want to be different this year in my leadership? That's the question. What do I actually want to be different this year in my leadership? Not in theory, not a polished answer, but honestly, where are you feeling stuck, tired, frustrated, unsure? Is it constantly putting out fires, avoiding hard conversations, feeling like you're carrying the emotional weight of the whole team, struggling to trust people, struggling to know how to empower them, or realizing that the way you've been leading is just not sustainable for you anymore? We all want to be a better leader year after year, right? Like everyone wants to be a better leader, but what does better leader actually mean for you this year? And I want to be clear, this is not about resolutions for you. This is just about doing some information gathering for yourself. And maybe you're listening right now and you can very easily identify what needs to change. Maybe you're just done losing sleep over that thing at work, that relationship at work, those people problems at work. You're done feeling like you aren't equipped to have the conversations that turn people problems into real productivity for your team. Maybe you're done giving your family what's left of you at the end of the day because you've been burnt out all day by the conversations you had to have. And all the second guessing and the emotional burnout is just too much, and there's nothing left for you to give to the people you love the most. And I can speak to it like this because I've truly experienced it. I remember looking at my husband and telling him, I can't do this anymore. I remember having so many days where I would think, why is this so hard for me? There has to be an easier way. And the truth is, there were easier ways, and it didn't have to be so hard. I just didn't know it at the time. I didn't have someone telling me these things. I didn't have people giving me frameworks for how to have hard conversations, how to give clear feedback, how to connect with my team in a way where the culture was conducive for real feedback on a regular basis. But friends, 10 plus years later of leadership experience, which you do not have to go through because I already did, I have the frameworks, I have the tools, and all I want to do is to share them with you. All I want to do is be in your corner, cheering you on, helping you to navigate the day-to-day life of a leader who just wants to build a highly connected, high-performing, and happy team. And that's why I'm starting something real exciting. Are you ready? I'm starting the Better Conversations Club, an online community where you will have access to like-minded leaders going through the same struggles as you. You'll also have a monthly live teaching with me where you and I can interact back and forth, and also monthly office hours where I'm just going to get on there and answer all your questions. But there's going to be awesome bonuses too, like my whole course, my whole digital course available just to my Better Conversations Club members. So we're getting ready to launch the Better Conversations Club in the next few weeks. And if you want more information, if you're like, I want to be on the first to access list and be notified when all the things are happening, I want to know when I can join, then go to heycaralist.com/club and jump on that list and get all of the updates and information as we get ready to launch this online community. Okay. Let's go back and do a quick review. The 3 leadership conversations that set the tone for the entire year, and I want to make sure you have in January, are the listening before leading conversations in your one-on-ones, the clarifying expectations conversation in your staff meeting, and the personal leadership check-in you're going to have with yourself. And if you have all 3 of these conversations, it won't just set the tone for the year, but it will prevent so many of the hard conversations and burnout moments and the how did we get here situations that show up in May and June and July and throughout the rest of the year. So remember, friend, you don't need a brand new sparkly vision to start the year. You don't need new goals. You don't need resolutions. Honestly, All you need is to have these 3 conversations, and you will not regret it. Okay, as always, I'm over here cheering you on. So make sure you go to heycarolist.com/club to get all the information that will be coming soon about the Better Conversations Club. You do not want to miss it. So go out there, crush those conversations, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.